fact that there's a technical error should not obscure the fact that he was trying to alert the Marines to saving the lives of innocent Marines, and because he was not listened to, Marines are dead today.
People die in war. Marines will perish, sometimes in ways unimaginable to mere citizens. But when a Marine passes, their families, those who support the armed forces, Americans in general, want to hope he or she died not in vain, but for a reason. And with portions of the Middle East about to fall into the operational hands of the very people we were seeking to destroy, anytime we hear a story that perhaps, just perhaps, those who are supposed to be our allies are part of the problem, we raise more than an eyebrow and seek to uncover the truth. Welcome to MidPoint. Assistant editor at Blue Force Tracker and former intelligence chief and Marine Corps infantry squad leader James LaPorta joins us right here on MidPoint in just a few moments. We want to bring you up to speed on exactly what this story involves. This goes back to August 10th of 2012. An Afghan T-boy, and again I am reading from Mr. LaPorta's own words from his website. An Afghan T-boy named Anuddin Kunduranan walked into the gym at Forward Operating Base Delhi, in Afghanistan's southern Helmand province, and shot to death Marine Lance Corporal Gregory T. Buckley, Jr., 21 years of age, along with two other Marines, Staff Sergeant Scott Dickinson and Corporal Richard Rivera. The point that he makes in this argument and in this column is that they were all unarmed. Here comes part of what is disturbing to many people. According again to James LaPorta, whom we'll have on momentarily, the day after the shooting, several of Buckley's platoon members broke military protocol that restricts communications after a fatal incident by directly contacting Buckley's family, insisting that the Afghan young boy was operating on the orders of Sanwar Jan, a local Afghan police chief who lived with the Marines on the Afghanistan National Police section of FOB Delhi, separated from the U.S. section by a wall. There's a lot more to this story. James LaPorta now joins us on MidPoint. James, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
James, I just detailed a little bit in the first two paragraphs of the story that you wrote on the website about the boy and what happened. Can you fill in some of the things here that would have people shaking their heads and wonder what happened, the breakdown in military communication here, but more than anything else, having an Afghan, someone that they apparently trusted, kill these three soldiers?
So there's many facets to this case. So on August 10th of 2012, Lance Corporal Buckley, along with Staff Sergeant Dickinson and Corporal Rivera, were working out at Forward Operating Base Delhi in Afghanistan. That day, a shooter by the name of Anon came in with an AK-47 and killed all three Marines in cold blood. The interesting fact about this case is prior to this shooting, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines was actually warned that the shooting was going to happen. That Sanwar Jan, who was living on Forward Operating Base Delhi, Sanwar Jan was a Afghan chief of police. They were warned that this guy was a dangerous man.
Who warned them? Do we know?
Major Jason Bresler had previously worked with Sanwar Jan in 2010. 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines sent an urgent warning to Major Jason Bresler, who was in the United States. Major Bresler said, "You got to get this guy off your base. He's a threat to your Marines." He had ties to the Taliban. 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines ignored that warning, and the shooting went down. Now, here's the kicker. Major Jason Bresler got court-martialed for accidentally sending the classified information over an unsecured network.
But isn't that normal military procedure? If we're going to be completely fair here, didn't he break the chain of command?
Major Jason Bresler did not break the chain of command. What he did was he accidentally, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines sent him a request for information. Major Jason Bresler sent a classified document over an unsecured network, which is what we call data spillage. But Buckley's platoon mates broke military orders. So basically what happens in Afghanistan is whenever there's a Marine killed or a soldier killed, we go into what's called River City. So all the phones shut down, and that is essentially so the casualty assistance officers can notify the next of kin. And then once the family is notified, then the phones will be turned back on.
Okay,
so
now let's...
the family was notified.
Go ahead,
so
please
the family
finish.
the family was notified on, I believe it was Friday. The following day, platoon mates from Lance Corporal Buckley's platoon started calling them and telling them about Sanwar Jan, how Sanwar Jan was living on an Afghan base, on a military base, raping up to 9 children. Up to 9 children he was raping.
Okay, now let's get to Sanwar Jan here, because according to your report, it talks about that Jan, a local Afghan police chief who lived with the Marines at the FOB Delhi, he has been investigated? Are they looking for him? What has happened to him?
Last I heard, after the shooting went down, he was detained for about 2 weeks, and then he was let go. And what the Marine Corps' official statement to Blue Force Tracker is that right now his whereabouts are unknown.
Now, are they not searching for him because they couldn't prove that he had any complicity in the murder of the Marines?
I would assume so. That's the only thing I can gather. But from allegations that we've heard from the Buckley family and from the Marines and from Major Jason Bresler's report is that Sanwar Jan had ties to the Taliban, and that Sanwar Jan actually gave the AK-47 to his T-boy to go into the FOB Delhi gym and shoot these 3 Marines dead. Why
would he have ordered them shot? Simply because he was Taliban? Simply because he was looking to get close to Marines and kill Americans? That simple?
That's simple. Now, the other sad thing about this, Ed, is that the shooter has just been tried in the Afghan courts. Now, the Buckley family was set to fly to Afghanistan to face their murderer. On July 20th and 21st, the staff judge advocate contacted the Buckley family and told them that there was no trial date set. 2 days later, the trial was over. He was sentenced as a juvenile and got 7.5 years in prison. Now that equates to 2.5 years per Marine life. So each Marine life that was killed that day, their lives are 2.5 years, according to the Afghan court.
Is the bigger question here that needs to be raised, and again, you've covered this, but is the bigger question here what Sanwar Jan, this individual, was doing as a suspected member of the Taliban in such close proximity to American military officials?
I think that's the ultimate question that the Buckley family has actually, over the last 2 years, been writing to General James Amos, who is the Commandant of the Marine Corps. They've written to the Department of Defense, and they've even written to President Obama. For 2 years, they tried to get their questions answered in regards to why was Sanwar Jan allowed to live in close proximity to the Marines. For 2 years, nobody talked to him. Nobody responded.
Is there a further investigation? Is there a further investigation of this Sanwar Jan, or has it been completely dropped?
As far as I know, NCIS and the intelligence officials have stopped investigating.
Is it possible, and again, we're all just assuming here, and we have to guess and we have to extrapolate here a little bit, but you have a known Taliban official here who is close to American Marines here. Is it possible that this happened a lot more often? Are there other killings here, other incidents that perhaps the American military and the American government at this moment doesn't want people to know about, or is this simply just isolated?
Intelligence officials in talking to Blue Force Tracker have said that this is not the first time that officials within the Afghan National Army and the Afghan National Police and Afghan National Security Forces, this is not the first time that they have tipped off the Taliban into what U.S. coalition forces are doing in Afghanistan, which results in American soldiers, American Marines, sailors, airmen getting killed. This is not the first time.
If it's not the first time, then is there any idea how long this had been going on? Do we need to start? Is there a need here for a further investigation? Are there more backlogged cases where families are still waiting for some sort of answers?
I would suspect so. I think there needs to be a congressional investigation into why was Sanwar Jan allowed in such close proximity when, in 2010, when Major Jason Bresler was in Afghanistan, got Sanwar Jan actually kicked out of Nowzad, which is a province in Afghanistan. Actually got him kicked out because he had such close ties to the Taliban. And then 2 years later, Sanwar Jan is back in charge of the Afghan police, and then allegedly orders his T-boy to go in and shoot these 3 Marines dead.
30 seconds left. What are the family and friends still saying now, still waiting for answers?
I've talked to Mary Grossetto, who is the aunt of Lance Corporal Buckley, and they feel that they have been just betrayed by their country. They feel that they can no longer trust anything that the Marine Corps is telling them because they've been given disinformation and lies for the last 2 years. And they simply can't get their answers questioned. They can't do nothing under the current administration.
The story will continue to go on. We will continue to follow it. James LaPorta, we thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully next time we speak under better circumstances.
Same here. Thank you, Ed.
All right. Thank you very much, James. Later on this hour, the car coach is no fan of red light cameras, and she's about to back it up with a few harsh words. Go ahead and reach for that ticket. Don't reach for the dial. MidPoint continues.